Yo, what's up to you guys? Welcome to In the Studio with Simz. Today I'm gonna show you guys how to mix your instrumentals. Powerful technique. Let's just get straight into it. Well, this is one of my tracks entitled Straight Outta Bondage. It's not yet out. It drops October 8th, and it's featured with my boy Miles. So make sure don't miss out this track. This is a dope track with a good message. So what we're gonna do here is and before we start, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel so that we keep the dice rolling. You get it? Comment in the comment sections, like, share, so that we meet halfway, so that we also have strength to keep posting more videos. Right, so I'm gonna play you the beat, just a little piece, so that you hear before we start working into it. Everything is raw as for now, so this is the beat. Alright, so that's the instrumental. It's just a simple instrumental. Personally, I like my beats to be simple and clean. Why? Because that's how I get quality vocals. I want my vocal to be the most heard when it comes to my music, because my music is based on a message. You get it? So I want people to really hear what I'm saying. So yep, every producer got their own type of sound. Right, this is where we start now. My first EQ, I'm just removing the high end only. That's what I'm doing. So in this case, I wrote off 900 hertz because I don't need the other things that are going upwards. That's gonna be where the sound of my snare is gonna come from, my packs, my hats, my vocals. So I don't need my 808 to have that sound. So I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. As you can hear, when I engage the EQ, it removes the high end of the 808, and by removing the high end, it pushes the 808 a little bit back so that it sounds like an 808. An 808 doesn't have to like get out, be on your face with the brightness. That's not how bass sounds. So next, I went to my compressor. What am I doing here with my compressor? Now this is something that's really tricky when it comes to your 808s. What I personally what I like doing is I like to put a fast release and probably a slow to medium attack. Why am I doing so? And by the way, this is the CLA676, the Chris Lord RJ 76. This is my best compressor actually. I use it on all my mixes, not some, but all my mixes. Because one thing I like about this compressor is it has the ability to lift. You can bring something from nothing to something with this compressor. It's a really dope compressor. So the way this compressor was designed is, when you go to the right, that's the fastest. When you go to the left, that's the slowest, compared to other compressors whereby when you go to the right, that's the slowest. So according to this one, it's reverse to what you know. So the reason why I want a fast release is I want my 808 to hit, and I want to release fast. That's gonna give me an 808 that has bounce. You get it? Like it's gonna be bouncing within the mix, compared to me having a slow release whereby it's gonna be like doom, then it's gonna hold, then it's gonna take time to release. The 808 is not gonna sound like bouncy. You get what I'm trying to say? And the reason why I have a slow to medium attack is I want that 808 to be held. Like when I want that 808 to say when it attacks, it doesn't attack the initial hit. That doom, I want it to attack it later on and start compressing it a bit later on. I'm sure if you're someone who's more into engineering, you've already learned something. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. As you can hear, I'm sure some of you are like, but we don't hear any difference. Well, when it comes to mixing, don't let volume trick you. here what I'm doing is I'm not boosting any volume, but if you can hear this 808, when I engage the compressor, it sort of tightens the 808. It gives it a more even sound. That's why you hear the part where it goes dum dum dum. When the compressor is engaged, that part where it goes dum, it's sort of like pulls it down. When it goes it can't pass this level. It takes it down and gives me a more even sound. And also there are parts whereby the octaves of the 808 are a little bit down. That means that when they're down, they are low in volume. So by adding this compressor, the CLA76, it's actually boosting those lower parts and actually taking down the higher parts and giving us a more even and concise 808 that sits within the mix. So I'm gonna bypass on and off again. Listen to the tightness of the 808, not the volume. Don't get tricked by volume. Listen to the tightness. Listen. And I've compressed about -7 dB. Like, one thing I like about this compressor, it doesn't really show that you're overdoing it compared to other compressors. I don't know if you get what I mean. I'll just assume you got it. So next is what I did is I added this plugin. It's called Low Air. The reason why I like this plugin is it's adding sub to the 808. We all know that 808 is sub. So you're gonna hear this. Make sure you're using headphones or you're using speakers, because this is low end. You can never hear it if you're not using speakers or headphones that have sub. They gotta have sub, because those are low frequencies, probably 40, 30 hertz and below. Listen, I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen to the difference. As you can hear, your speakers started rumbling. You heard the rumble in the speakers, like, what? It just brought in the whole body of the 808. When it's on the low, where it goes boom, boom, boom. You can hear that now this is an 808. But so what I did is I just went to the low. What you only do is you go to your low. I boosted about 20 dB of the 808. I'm only attacking the low, so it's adding more of that sub. Then watch what I'm doing next. Next, I'm controlling that sub using this multiband compressor. I went to the 60 hertz and below, and I'm gonna compress that sub. I don't want it. I felt like it was now too much, so it needed a little bit of control. I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. As you can hear, the sub sounds controlled. Another thing is, you know, when you have too much low end, you're gonna, like I said at the beginning, you're gonna have a low sounding mix because there's too much happening down there. You get what I'm saying? So next I added an EQ. This is the Puke Tech. I love this EQ when it comes to my kicks. It's really dope. So what I did is I went to my 60 hertz and I just removed, I attenuated about a dB, because this is the part that I boosted my kick. So I didn't want this to compete with my 808. Plus, if you hear the way the 808 starts, it starts with that so I wanted it to remove a little bit of that initial heat, that because I want that is gonna be replaced with the kick. That's where the kick is gonna come in. So I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. It's just a slight change. It just knocks off some of that. The first, it doesn't hit as hard as it was hitting before. It's just a slight change. So next, what I did is I added a sidechain compressor. This is sidechain compression. So now you know what's about to happen when we talk about sidechain compression. Now we are moving to our kick. You get it? We're moving to our kick. So I'm bringing in my kick right here. So this thing works with the kick. Like I tell a sidechain compressor, you're there to tell, you're telling it that each time you hear the kick, I want you to duck. Go down. When you hear the kick coming in, go down. When you hear the kick coming in, go down. When the kick is not there, you can come back and do what you want. That's sidechain compression. It's a dope way to have your drums giving space for each other. Like the kick goes poof, then the 808 just ducks and the kick comes in without masking happening, you feel. So I'm gonna play, yo guys. I'm gonna bypass on and off. I'm engaging the kick. Listen. Before we go any further, you can hear that the kick is swallowed. The kick is really swallowed. Like you're wondering what happened to the kick. Now listen when I engage the sidechain compression. Listen, the compressor, excuse me. Now you can hear that the kick, there is a kick there. Like compared to at first you're like, is there a kick? Why does it sound buried? Now you can hear that the 808 is ducking and giving space, giving room for the kick to come in. Right, let's start mixing our kick. So next, so first what I did, put a down mixer just to put my kick on the center. I don't want it at the sides. Next, an analyst channel just for analog sounding. My EQ, what am I doing at my EQ? Right, this is something, guys. Let me tell you one thing. When you are mixing, the most important thing when it comes to hip-hop is the kick and the 808. If you get these things to live together, you're done. The rest of the things are not going to stress you. Like you see right here, when you're mixing, you need to think. Don't just take things and start working. Think. We worked on our 808. It's done, right? Now we're about to boost our kick. We added a plugin on our 808 called this low air, and it was adding harmonic sub. You get it? Now, when I was playing this kick, I heard that this kick had what I added to the 808. Look at, I want you to look at this at the spectrum right there. Look. As you can see, I can see some waveforms around the 32 hertz, and that's where my sub is, around the 40, 45. That's where my sub is. So what do? What comes to my mind is, let me EQ out. I'm gonna roll off about 50 hertz. I'm gonna remove 50 hertz. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my 808. I'm gonna play it. I want you to listen to the combination between the 808 and the kick. Listen, I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. As I rolled off this 50 hertz, you heard that the kick managed to cut through. When you thought that it was cutting through with the Sidechain compressor, it started cutting through more because I removed the 50 hertz. That's what it is when it comes to mixing. You are making room for other instruments to survive and to breathe, and so that you can hear them properly. Next, I went to my EQ, the Pug, the one I was telling you about. I love this EQ. So what I did with the Pug is I boosted 4 dB at the 60 hertz. Remember that time I was saying I'm removing. Now I'm boosting 4 dB. I'm going to bypass on and off. Listen. As you can hear, this kick started hitting hard because I added the 60 hertz. Now we're done with the most important thing. Next, I'm gonna go to my snare. What am I doing with my snare? Like I said, your kick, your 808, your snare, your vocal, you need them at the dead center. No two ways about that. This is my snare. Let me bring in my snare. Without wasting time, I just added this NLS. Like I said, just for an analog sound. Right, listen. Before we go any further, as I'm looking there, I can see that there is low end on the snare. So what do I have to do? I'm rolling off about 160 hertz so that my snare doesn't compete with my kick and my 808. And I went to my high end. I removed about 10,000 because I don't want that snare to be too hard. It's gonna be hitting throughout the song, so it doesn't have to be hurting people's ears. So I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. As you can hear, when I apply this EQ, the low end is gone. It's also less harsh to the ears. Next, what I did, I added this is a multi-band compressor. What this one is doing is I'm going band by band and compressing 8K and above, 1.8 to 8K, 130 to this. I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. when I engage the C4, you can hear that it smoothens the 808. It doesn't become too painful when it goes, because I'm controlling the highs and the high mids. I also remove the low end down there, 130 and below. I don't need that. That's where my 808 and my kicks are, so I don't need that at all. Next, I went to my ROX. What I'm doing actually here is I'm just compressing the snare a little bit. Listen, I'm bypass on and off. Listen. Just to give it a little, just to control it a little bit so that it doesn't poke out too much. Next, I went to my heads, analog. You know that. What I'm doing with my heads is I'm rolling off the low end and rolling off a little bit of the highs. I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. I know some of you guys are like, why are you rolling off a lot? The high ends now sound. Don't forget that there's something called mastering. When you're mastering, now you're boosting. Imagine you don't remove the high end and you're boosting on top of something that's already too bright. It's gonna give you problems. So I just rolled off up the low end, or the high end, excuse me, 9,400 hertz, so that I can have space for my vocals. Next, I went to the C4. I'm controlling again. Listen, I'm bypass on and off. Listen. So that it doesn't hurt on the ears. You can hear it's just pleasing. I control again with my ROX. Listen. Just controlling some of those items. Next, I went to my pack as usual. So what's happening here? I rolled off 240 hertz so that it doesn't compete with my kick and my 808. I did that for my C4 like what I did to my snare. Actually, that's what I did. So next, now let me show you a very important trick. So I'm gonna bring in the rest of my instruments, right? My drums, actually, all of them. Listen. Right, now what we want to do is we want to group all these instruments and put them in one drum bus, and we want to do something with these items. You get what I mean? So first of all, I group those items, I create a bus, I put them in one bus, whereby I can control all the instruments using one bus. If I mute this bus, nothing plays. You get it? So first of all, I put an NLS just for analog sound. Next, what I did is I'm adding a compressor. This compressor is there to glue the instruments. It's gonna hold them, all of them, and they're gonna sound like they're just a bundle. Excuse me, you get what I'm saying? So I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. Powerful. When it comes to gluing your instruments, you need a compressor. As you can hear, before I engage the what you call this, the compressor, the heads were just hitting while they were there. The snare is just there. The packs are just there. It's like there's no order. But when I bring in, it's like the compressor is holding them. Like, come here, let me hold you and let me make you sound like one. Next, I went to my smack attack. What the smack attack is doing actually is it's gonna add punchiness to the drums. I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. Powerful technique. This is a dope plugin if you want your drums to heat out. This is a track spacer. This works now when the vocals come in. This is another like a side chain. Each time it hears the vocals, I want the drums to sort of like move a little bit backwards so that the vocal comes up front. Right, powerful technique, gentlemen and ladies. Right, after that, now we're left with the lead. I only have, but they're the claps. Let's forget about the claps because we're working right here. So I'm gonna bring in one lead instrument. Probably this is more like a pad. Right. Now we're about to mix this. When it comes to things like pads and other sorts of items, I want to listen to them, how they sound, and I want to start making room. You get it? So first of all, I'm going to put an EQ. And what I'm doing with this EQ is I'm rolling off about 160 hertz. The reason why I'm rolling off 160 hertz is I just want to, for the first EQ, I just want to make space so that it doesn't compete with my kick and my 808. So I'm going to bypass on and off. Listen. Make sure you're using headphones or speakers so that you can hear this. Next, I went to my multiband compressor. I feel like this pad is a bit bright, so I'm gonna control some of the harshness, and I'm gonna remove the low end. I don't need it because my 808 is there, so I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. Multiband compression, very powerful. You can hear as I engage it, it's sort of like controlled that the way the pad is sounding. Next, I went to a J37. This is just a tape saturation plugin. I went with a preset called mastering fat type and open. It gave me a more open sound. That's what I want. That's what I wanted actually. So since I had controlled, I had controlled the harshness, I just want to bring it back a little bit and make it sound more open. So I'm going to bypass on and off. Listen. You know, tape plugins are meant to bring life to something that sounds dead. Next, I added this boy over here. This is actually a stereo image plugin. It just pushes things to the stereo. I pushed it so hard. I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. I feel now like this is the most powerful thing now, because after I've controlled, I've removed the low end. I don't want, because the biggest mistake you want to do is to spread something that has low end. Don't do that. So now I can spread it as further much as I want. Moreover, the more I spread it to the sides, the more it stays away from the drums, because the drums are heavy. So it's just gonna have its own space, panned, like sort of pushed to the stereo field. So I'm gonna bypass in context with the drums so that you hear. Listen. Powerful. As you can hear, when it's on the middle, it just sounds like a bunch of cloud, but when I push it, it goes to the stereo. That's gonna give me room for my vocal. My vocal is not gonna breathe. When it comes in, it's on the middle, it has space. Even when it's raw, it has space. So what I did again is I did something called parallel compression to this pad. I wanted it to have more punch. Parallel compression, you know what it is. So I'm gonna bypass on and off. I'm gonna turn. This is gonna be on, off, right? So I'm gonna play it right now. It's off. Listen to the pad. Subtle changes. When you're mixing, subtle changes. I want to show you something. Right, now we're getting back to our drums. This is the track space I was telling you about. This is a dope plugin actually. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna dark my drums. My drums are gonna dark a little bit, and my vocals are gonna come through. I'm gonna bypass on and off. Listen. I just wanna give praise to the Lord God, 'cause many brought me out of bondage to the real life. Every weapon from the against me shall not prosper. Shall not prosper. I just wanna give praise to the Lord God, 'cause many brought. Dope. As you can hear, the drums just back off a little bit, not much, just a little bit, and they give space for the vocals. So guys, this track actually sounds dope when it's the mastering. Hey, I wish I could just play you guys a whole track right now mastered. Like honestly, this song came out really clean. It really came out clean. So guys, if you loved this, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you share. The more you guys get to talk and show me that you're appreciating what I'm doing, the more we keep flooding videos, bro, because we gotta help each other. The most embarrassing thing that you want as an artist or as an engineer, actually, let's say you're an amateur, because I've done a lot of songs that are on radio, is you taking your song to the radio and they tell you, bro, this is trash, the quality is trash. They can kill your career. You get it? So we're trying to help each other, because I've done a couple of songs, bro. Like, I've been getting credit from guys in the States. They're like, oh, your mixing is good. Guys from Nigeria, guys from Tanzania, guys from SA. So guys, till we meet next time, let me not take much of your time. Have a blessed night, have a blessed day, have a blessed whatever it is. Peace.